The following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good afternoon and welcome once again to another edition of Service Matters, a weekly radio show that talks about the good things that are happening in local communities and beyond. We also like to talk about the good things that people do to make a difference. And in many cases, it makes dreams real for some folks out there that may be very much in need. I'm Dave Clifton. I'm happy to be your host of Service Matters. We are certainly a cumulus station. You can hear us on WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. You can also hear us on AM 630 or FM 99.7. And today we have two special guests in our studio, and a big thank you and shout out to ECAT, Easton Community Access Television, for hosting the radio show here in their studio in Easton, Massachusetts, a community that will be celebrating its 300th anniversary in the following year, 2025. Today we're going to talk about a subject that I enjoy speaking about. With my other career, the other hat that I wore, working in public parks and recreation, I was very much into youth sports. So today we're going to talk about youth sports. We're going to talk about the benefits that a young person gets from playing in youth sports programs. And we'll also talk about the negative things that might happen. And I'm hoping that there's lots of folks out there that may be listening that could pick up a few tips. I'm talking about volunteer coaches who give their time, their talent, their energy, and their ideas to working with young kids in a youth sports program. And in many communities, they start at grade 1 and 2, and it's usually instructional purposes. And then they move up to grade 3, and that's where the competition begins. We're going to talk today about the role of a youth sports coach in any town or city here in the Commonwealth, or for that matter, Connecticut or Rhode Island, our listening area. So I say to our guest, welcome to Service Matters. We have the Miller family joining us today. And we have Dad, Victor Miller, who participated in youth sports growing up, and he also did some coaching. And his son, who is into broadcasting, he's done some high school football games like I have over the years. And he's done some broadcasting with the Brockton semi-pro teams.
Brockton Rocks.
Yeah. And it's amazing the fun you can have at a microphone just broadcasting. And I'm hoping today, between the three of us, we can discuss the important things that people should be aware of when they sign up to be a coach and how important training is. I'm going to start with your dad, Justin, Victor Miller. Victor, you have said to me that sports has been an important part of your life growing up.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, I've always enjoyed watching sports. I was a sports writer for the first part of my career. Always enjoyed playing and always loved writing about it, and then later in life coaching.
I remember meeting you not just as a baseball player in the town that I lived in, but you also covered many of the Hockomock League games that I was doing play-by-play for. And many times we had smiles on our faces at the high school level when you see how they compete, how they work together as a team. But today we're going to concentrate on youth sports, what happens at the lower levels, and why do a lot of young people quit before they become teenagers. It could be because of the feeling they got participating. Maybe sitting on a bench in the third grade. The parents, of course, pay a fee for them to participate. And every kid should play at the lower grade levels. Every kid should learn the skills in terms of participating. But Justin, I know you've served as an umpire. Have you been a volunteer coach as well?
I mean, I haven't coached as much, but sometimes I feel like when I'm umpiring, I should be coaching because some of these coaches, they don't understand everything all the time. But I enjoy umpiring. I've been doing it for a while. I believe I'm actually the longest tenured umpire left in Easton. I think 14th or 15th season doing it for me. So it's a crazy experience. You see a lot of good things, a lot of bad things. But like I was telling you before the show, a lot of times the parents can be a lot worse than the coaches.
You're right. And I hope that today our listening audience will stay with us as we talk about the importance of youth sports. And what kind of benefits would a young person get? And I'll just name a few, and I'm going to pass it back to our guest here in the studio. But certainly the most important priority, as far as I'm concerned, is having fun. If you can't have fun in the first, second, and third, and fourth grade, why participate in a sport just to give yourself something to do? So I'm hoping, and I found myself working, I was in charge of the youth sports program, and I made sure that all the youth sports coaches went through a training process so that they could learn what their role is. Some knew, some didn't. Some came out of an office and never coached youth sports and never played. So I think it's important that they go through a training process. And most important of all is how you treat the kids. And another issue is staying active. Of course, exercise is important for any youngster that's participating in a program. Learning respect, learning teamwork, how to get along with your teammates and have a smile on your face. Yeah. I always remember one youth sports coach in my program, he didn't win a game all year. It was in the 5th grade program, but they went for ice cream after each game. The kids had smiles on their faces.
Got to have some fun.
They learned the skills. They didn't have as many skills as some of the other teams in the league, and therefore they weren't as competitive. But the important thing is at that level, they should, when I think of a young person, and I've said this to a few superintendent schools, that to me, a young person should be fully developed. Right. And she said, what does that mean when you say fully developed? And I said, someone who does well in school, tries hard, does his or her homework, and someone who gets involved in extracurricular activities so you can work off some of that stuff instead of being on a computer all day.
You don't want to be stuck doing your homework the whole day, but you got to get out a little bit.
Well, a well-rounded person.
That's correct.
Well-rounded.
And I think that's so important. But if I were to ask you, Victor, and you get your son here, and you probably have been involved with him in youth sports over the years, what do you think some of the benefits are for participating in a youth sports program, not for the coach, but for the youngster?
It teaches how to get along with others. And I coached my daughter, too, from the time I started coaching Justin in T-ball and my daughter in T-ball, right up through senior rec in high school. It's great, first of all, for the kids to get outside, because this generation, it seems like a lot of these kids spend too much time on their phones, on their tablets, in front of the television. So it's great to get out, get some fresh air, get some exercise, activity, and learn how to deal and get along with others.
Terrific. Yeah. And before I get your comments, Justin, who happens to be the son of my other guest that's here today, and I know that I wanted to thank our producer here in the TV studio. He certainly, Adam Carrero, has been a plus for this show whenever we do it at the TV studio. And I'd like to thank Brett Ferruccio back in Providence at the radio station. And it takes a team effort just to do a broadcast and a cable cast or a TV cast.
And thank
But-
you, Dave.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Really appreciate it.
And well, that's going to end our show. No, I'm only
Yeah.
kidding,
Yeah,
folks.
on
Stay
that-
with us.
On that note,
Yeah.
They were thanking me before the show
no,
ends.
we really appreciate you.
But we got a long ways to go, and I wanted to find out from you, Justin, from your perspective. You were serving as an umpire in the Easton Youth's baseball program.
Right.
Have you ever had any complaints, any parents complain about your calls?
I mean, yeah, I'd say, honestly, I think it happens more as you get older. I just think because they feel like you're old enough, you should be making the right calls. But like I was telling you before, the parents are worse than the coaches. I've thrown, I believe in my whole 14, 15 years doing this, I've thrown about three people out of the game, and 2 of them have been parents. So I had this one lady from Easton. She was barking at me basically the whole game, and I told her, I'm like, you're not supposed to throw them out right away, obviously, but you got to give them a couple of strikes, a couple of warnings, let them know that they're not going to be able to do that to you the entire game. So I told her if she says one more thing, she's going to have to watch the game from the parking lot because I'm not going to have her be at the field and make a scene in front of everyone. And then it happened about 3 more times. I ended up throwing her out of the game. She watched the game from the parking lot, and then she ended up apologizing after the game, actually. So usually they realize what they did wrong, but it's more of just like setting a tone and realizing that they can't do that in front of everyone. And especially, it's making a bad impression in front of your kids as well. Because, I mean, we're not going to get every single call right as much as we would like to. It's a tough thing to do, but the parents can be pains, and they know it.
It's interesting. You have to be tactful in your approach when you deal with the parents. And some parents have had 0 training.
Yeah. They want their kid to be in the major leagues.
And some coaches have a tendency to work around their youngster. You play shortstop, you bat cleanup. And instead of being fair to all. And I'm not saying that everybody out there that's a volunteer coach does this. All I'm saying is we're doing this broadcast today and cablecast to let parents give some thought to what your role is as a youth sports coach. In the lower grades, it should not be win at all costs.
Right.
Nobody gets paid for this. All the coaches are volunteers. You give your time and your talent to the community and to all the kids that are there. And, of course, all the parents are watching. So you can't take the idea of winning out of the game.
Right.
Everybody looks at the scoreboard. Everybody's conscious of the score, whether it be basketball, soccer, football. You can't take it out, but teaching in a training session how to handle a loss,
Gives them a better idea.
might be a good way for parents to take a look at it. This has got to be a fun experience because when you go over the top or cross the line, not only does it hurt the players on the roster, but it hurts your son or daughter who may be on that team because they recognize it as well.
Oh.
And how do you stay calm and cool and collective and to understand at this particular age level, kids are going to make mistakes.
Oh, yeah.
Guess what, folks? Adults make mistakes
Plenty.
and the kids don't correct us. But the fact is that you want to give them a clear opportunity to do the best they can to learn as many skills as they can about the sport so they can have a good feeling about it. There is a stat out there that states that why is it that so many youngsters playing in youth sports programs do not play when they become teenagers? Some reasons could be they're not competitive enough to play on their high school team.
Yeah.
But other reasons, they had a bad experience.
Lots of pressure.
And I think it's so important that towns and cities, through their recreation departments, have training sessions, how important that is. We're going to take a short break. My guest, Victor and Justin Miller, they're both from Easton, Massachusetts. I'm Dave Clifton. You're listening to WPRO, the voice of Southern New England. Hurry back.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, residents of Easton, friends and neighbors. This is Bill Ames, co-host with Priscilla Almquist Olson of the Film Connection. On ECAT now for over 20 years. We're very proud of that. And we like to interview guests from Easton who have been involved in the film business, actors, producers. We're very fortunate today to have a producer of a film.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Sick of all the new shows and movies dominating pop culture? Well, have no fear, because Old Time Movie and Old Time TV are here, where we like to add our own flair.
There's a truck out front, and if we could just get the keys...
Man, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? Those are flesh-eating zombies. They upended our car, okay? We're lucky to be alive, especially Joe. I had to pull him out of the trunk, for crying out loud.
It's been a long day.
Also, make sure to check out the Radiocast, our accompanying podcast where we talk about what we've watched.
There was a lot of moments of just Mac on the raft going down the river, just internal monologuing over and over and over.
We show the classics and nothing but the classics. Well, except for the weird ones. Check us out on all our channels as well as our YouTube.
Yeah. This is the life. Just relaxing by the beach. What could be better than this?
I've got an idea.
What?
I'd really like to find a forever home.
Forever home?
Yeah, like Jack Ryan talks about on Easton News. A forever home. All those animals at the APCSM, they get forever homes. Why not us?
Listen, man, I hate to tell you this.
Tell me what? Come on, tell me. Look, I can take it. Look at me. Come on, tell me. I can take it. Come on.
We're not real.
What are you talking about? Of course we're real. Look at us. We're sitting here on the beach, on vacation, being served raw meat, mind you. We're having a great time. How are we not real? No, thank you. I'm good. I've had enough. I've had enough. Thank you. What are you talking about? Of course we're real.
Look, it's not that we're not real. We're just not living, breathing animals. You don't even have a mouth, dude.
Well, oh yeah? Well, your eyes are just plastic.
Right back at you.
You've ruined my vacation. I can't believe you've done this.
I mean, while we're at it, why do we need a vacation? It's not like you have a job.
Oh, wow. Oh, okay. All right. You know what? I'm out of here.
Cubby, wait. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Oh, well, you have to get it eventually.
If you'd like to get your hands on a cubby of your own, scan the QR code on your screen now.
Welcome back to another segment of Service Matters. And today we're talking about the service of youth sports and how many volunteers give their time and talent to make themselves available to coach youngsters. Some communities, they have what they call an instructional phase. There's no competition in the first grade level and the second grade level. What you do is you make fun out of the drills.
Right.
Nobody plays and competes in games. They compete in the drills. Dribbling with your right hand, dribbling with your left hand, learning how to use your pivot foot, learning how to do a layup, learning how to use the backboard. Of course, I'm talking about basketball in this case. But those are the things that you want to learn. Everybody gets treated the same. Everybody gets the same jersey. Everybody gets an ice cream.
Yeah.
Everybody gets, when they graduate from the instructional program, they get a basketball, not a trophy. Take this basketball home and practice during the summer season,
Right.
all the skills that you learned this year. And you pat them all on the back. And at the end of practice, you shake hands. And You do not downplay the experience of any of the players. You may have some kids that may possibly have learning disabilities. And what you do is you work with them. And I have found that by quieting them down a little bit, you just do a couple of extra laps.
Yeah.
And then they get tired, they sit, and you let them know that the ice cream's on the way, but we have 3 more skills to learn.
Yeah.
What would you say about that procedure in terms of instructions in the first and second grade before they get into the level of competition?
Well, I think it's wonderful. Everybody feels needed, necessary, and it's all about fun. I mean, obviously when the kids get in the 3rd grade and higher, it does become about winning and losing. That's why they have a scoreboard. That's why they keep score. But I enjoyed it at all levels. I'm not going to lie. I'd rather have my players win than lose, but it was never lost on me the importance of everybody participating, everybody going home happy and feeling like they accomplished something. And I actually loved when I first started coaching, my kids were young. I loved those early years. It was just learning, feeling like you accomplished something and nobody worried about winning and losing. Then, of course, it evolves to the next level. But it's very important, and you hopefully keep the kids interested by doing that.
And in the instructional program, I used to light up the scoreboard after they shook hands, and I asked them all to look at the scoreboard. It was 100 to 100. It was a tie score,
game.
folks. You gave me 100% during this practice. Have a good week. And that's kind of an experience that parents still talk about. And I encourage all community departments, it may not just be recreation, maybe the YMCA. When you run youth sports programs, give some consideration to teaching the game first before you play the game.
Everyone goes home happy.
Now, of course, there's a big difference, Justin, between the professional athlete who gets paid, the college athlete who's looking for that victory.
Right.
And not too many kids in youth sports programs make their high school team.
No.
Less make the college team. And it's hard to pick out 1 or 2 people that actually made the pros.
And now some are even getting money for college as well, which is wild. But
it could pay your tuition.
Yeah.
That's another good reason for participating in the sport. And of course, I've always felt that sports give you an opportunity to learn how to respect your coach. And I say to the volunteer coaches, learn how to respect your players.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you may say things that aren't necessary.
Right.
Just think about it and improve upon it. And I used to show videos of volunteer coaches. They made up the video and you kind of chuckle at it when you see it.
Yeah.
Of one coach taking his center fielder out of the game. The youngster was in the 6th grade. He missed a ball. So the volunteer coach took him out of the game and stopped the game. And that's not really the way to handle it.
No, that's somebody who's a frustrated former athlete or parent.
Yeah.
That's wrong.
And you recognize those when you're umpiring as well. Some of these guys that think they were going to make the big leagues and they're coaching now, they think they got it all and their kid's going to be the next superstar, and they're the ones that give you a hard time. So.
And because this is a positive show, Service Matters, has been for 15 years, I'd like to pat on the back and give a shout out to all the volunteer coaches that do a terrific job. They're an inspiration. And believe it or not, coaches, you are going to be an inspiration. You're going to be someone that these kids are going to look up to as they grow older. I always think of this one player that I had. He did a thesis to get into college, and he wrote about his 2nd grade instructional basketball program.
It's a good subject.
And what he learned. And I found out about it from the professor who called me up.
Wow.
He said, I got to tell you about this. And I had a conversation with him afterwards. And he turned out to be a terrific student. And it was more, I say to volunteer coaches, when you're coaching these kids at the lower levels, it's not just about basketball. you want to be able to teach them how to get along with each other, how to respect each other, how to not scream and yell. And you can find many volunteer coaches running up down the sidelines,
Right.
yelling and screaming. And parents are sitting out there and they're looking at this and they're saying, why is he screaming?
Yeah, and what are they paying for? Because, I mean, they're paying for these kids to play as well, so they don't want their coaches being that crazy. A lot of these parents, especially their kids playing for the first time. So, I mean, you want to have a good role model. And I'd say as well, playing sports growing up, I mean, you can create friends for life, lifelong friendships. And like you said, getting out of the house, you don't want to play video games all day. You don't want to do homework for the entire day. So just getting out of the house and doing something and having a routine schedule.
And it's interesting, at the third grade level, I know of some coaches that made sure during the season that every kid played every position.
Yes. Well,
How do you feel about that?
I think it's wonderful. And that's what I was going to say to you before, is the thing I like the most, or one of the things I like the most about coaching, is that even at the higher levels, we're told, okay, so everybody plays the same amount of time. Everybody plays 2 quarters, or nobody can play fewer than 4 innings. So it gives everybody, whether they're the top player or the weakest player, they feel needed and wanted. It's,
And that rule doesn't apply for the playoffs, but it should. It's a little bit more important.
Yeah.
And there are some third graders that they not only have playoffs, but they go to other towns
Right, travel teams.
and they play 40 games.
Yes.
Yeah.
And those are probably the most competitive kids.
Right.
And hopefully they have tryouts so everybody gets a shot at it. But you pretty much know during the season who should be on a traveling team.
Right.
And the fact is that it's unheard of when I was growing up that you played 40 games on a traveling team in the third grade.
It's a big schedule. I mean, those kids don't have time for homework.
Yeah.
What I think has happened a lot, and it happened after I stopped coaching because my kids obviously aged out, is that these rec leagues, and again, this is a positive show about the volunteers, the parents who help, but what I think was starting to happen is a lot of these travel players would be playing rec as well, which they have every right to, and they would almost take over the rec. I always think that they should have kept that more separate. Like, you play travel, you don't need to play rec.
You got a good point there. Let's take another short break. I'm Dave Clifton, happy to host Service Matters. And again, today our topic of discussion is the importance of youth sports programs, regardless of where you are here in Southern New England. We'll be right back.
Hey, are you a fan of history? If so, come for a adventure with me, your host Drew Daugherty, as we explore some of the most impactful events of all time. We talk about U.S. history. These events led up to the creation of the first Continental Congress. World history. The Allied forces consist of France, the United Kingdom, Russia, Japan, and Italy, and influential figures. The legacy of Martin Luther King is one of selflessness, and he never stopped believing in the equal and free America. You'll get my takes and opinions, so come along for an adventure on Drew's Venture History TV. Check us out between your recently scheduled programming as well as on YouTube. Thank you.
You want to get involved in an exciting race around historic Northeaston? Apply to be on Expedition Easton, a local version of the amazing race produced by ECAT. This summer, 6 pairs, 12 contestants, will get the chance to compete for the grand prize. All ages are welcome, but each pair must have one member over 18 years old. Think you got what it takes to complete the expedition? Email info@eastoncat.org or call us at 508-230-7200. Casting has begun. Dates are set for June 22nd, 23rd, 29th, and 30th.
afternoon, everyone.
I'm Abby Malafato.
And I'm
Coming to you from 50 Oliver in Northeastern, this is Easton News and
Don't have time to stay up and watch ECAT channels all day long, or miss your favorite show's time slot? Don't worry, ECAT has a YouTube channel that has all the programs that we show, so you don't have to miss any of the episodes or catch up on past episodes. Search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the only capital letters. The YouTube channel has playlists for every program, even some of the programs you can download a podcast version. We even stream live events through our channel. To stay up to date with ECAT programming, make sure you look up ECAT's YouTube channel. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get all the alerts for the new programming premiere, and change the alerts to all to make sure you receive all of them. Remember to search Easton Cat TV, with TV being the capital letters. So there's no reason to miss any of the ECAT programming. Enjoy.
Welcome back to Service Matters, and today on my agenda is to have a discussion about youth sports programs. You know, you hear a lot of vibes out there about what goes on in youth sports. You hear about a coach that slugged an umpire. You hear about kids not getting enough playing time, and that coaches kind of cross the line. But we also hear about coaches that do a terrific job, that have an impact on the life of a young person. Yes, they have parents, but they also have people that work with them, whether it be teachers or coaches, that can be an inspiration, kind of guide them in the right direction. And I found out as a youth sports coach that it's more than just the sports program that you're coaching.
Yes.
It's about life in general and making sure that they go in the right direction.
Right.
And throwing in some other things that are important. I understand that two of my players were having an argument. I want you to shake hands.
Right.
And I want you to be buddies.
Make up for it.
It's amazing how a little advice like that can go a long way. Let's talk, if I may, with my guest about training for youth sports coaches. Certainly, some of the things we're talking about on the air today would be part of the agenda. The National Recreation and Park Association just did a magazine article on coaching youth sports program. They talk about the social and emotional learning. They talk about a winning strategy. Someone said to me when I was talking about the subject of teaching youngsters how to lose, he said, well, I'm a winning coach. I only think about winning. I think that's important at the higher levels, but at the lower levels, not everybody's going to win. And you want them to understand that your goal is to win.
Right.
But if you lose, you don't want your youngster to go off the deep end.
You don't want to be the end of the world. But.
Yeah. And it isn't the end of the world. And that's how correct you are.
Right.
And I think that the coach I was talking about, his last name was Adams. And everybody got an ice cream. And he said, someday you're going to put your skills to work and you're going to win. And he took the blame. I was at the ice cream parlor when the kids were having their ice cream, and they were all thanking and hugging the coach. Well, here's a coach that was 0-15.
Yeah.
The parents liked him, the kids liked him.
They like ice cream.
And the kids liked ice cream. But, you know, they had a fun experience.
Right.
And they're going to come back and play the following year.
Same team.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not the same team. They'd be on a different team because they're at a different grade level.
Well, they had so much fun, they wish it was the same team.
They're going to still enjoy doing this. And I think it gets lost. I think the thing is people, and like Justin made reference to earlier, and I have a very good a friend from college. We're still good friends. His son grew up in a little town in New York, a standout athlete, like the best athlete in that town, best football player, best lacrosse player. He's playing Division III lacrosse. He's a good player, but like my friend said, the problem with some of these parents is that they think their kids are all going to be professional athletes.
Yeah. And I say hats off to all the parents that follow the rules of coaching and youth sports program. And I thank you personally because of the fact that as a parent, you found the time to join with the community and to coach a team, between practices and all the games.
It's time consuming.
And catering to the kids. And one thing we haven't talked about is injuries. And that's part of the training, is to have some first aid training,
Right.
to know how to handle a kid on the spot, what you should do, what you shouldn't do if someone gets injured, because that happens.
You see it at the baseball fields all the time. I mean, these kids are throwing pretty fast. Baseball is obviously, sometimes they get hit in the head. I mean, you're wearing a helmet, but it still hurts. Sometimes they get hit right here. And a couple of times I've seen ambulances come to the field, and these parents, if they know what they're doing or if there's someone that is experienced in the medical field there, it obviously helps a whole lot.
And it's amazing. I've had the opportunity to coach at many different levels. I coached at the high school level, and that was competition.
Yes.
And then I coached and taught in the grades 1 and 2. And I got to tell you, I had more fun coaching in the instructional program. And I had the honor and privilege of coaching someone that went on to be a professional athlete. I'm talking about Tony Canigliaro, an outstanding athlete. And Justin, you've interviewed some professional athletes on the year, but Tony C., unfortunately, ended his career. He got hit with a pitch, played right field for the Boston Red Sox. I was at his first game when he had a home run at left field, over the left field wall. But you give him a football and he run for a touchdown. And basketball, he led the Catholic Conference in scoring.
He had it all.
But he did everything except sell tickets to any of the games. But that's a different ball game. It's kind of you do what you can to win.
Right.
But coaches have to be tactful in how they handle their players, even at the high school level. You can't take win out of it. Win's important. And they strive to make the playoffs. And at St. Mary's Alen, we won our first 9 games.
Wow.
And I was in heaven. And then competition really got stiff, and we lost some games. But the fact is that you do what you can on the youth sports program. And of course, all those professional athletes, Justin, Victor, they all played in youth sports programs.
Yeah.
The college players, the high school players, they all played in youth sports programs.
They're all pretty good, right?
And there are many players that had the right coaches, that made the right decisions, that taught respect. They taught how to get along. They talked about the importance of teamwork. And that's some of the stuff that we do in training sessions. Justin, you played in youth sports. Did you, or you've been a coach? Have you had training?
I mean, I played basically my whole life. My dad's pretty much been my coach with whether it's baseball, basketball, soccer. He didn't know too much about soccer, but he still helped out when he got the opportunity.
Yeah, I helped out. I did the best I could.
But I wouldn't say the training sessions. It was more of like a practice that we had. We had practices a couple times a week. And I hate to say it, a lot of these kids, or at least back when I played, a lot of times they won't show up for the practice, but of course they'll come for the games just because practice tends to be a little bit more boring, a little bit more work. But then when it's time to play in the games, it's more fun. And obviously there's a winner and loser. But I'd say what you do with the practice sessions and all the sessions before the practice and before the games, I'd say that's definitely a great idea, and it makes kids become even more closer before they appear in these big-time games.
Making fun out of the drills so that they can learn and have fun at the same time.
Right, and it gets kids closer together, and it creates bonds and friendships as well.
I had a boy in a youth baseball program who struck out 2 times in a row. And I went over to pat him on the back and say, look, next time, make sure you swing level. And one of the parents asked me afterwards, how come you patted that kid on the back that struck out twice? once with bases loaded. I said, there are more important things than winning a baseball game, although I wish he got a hit, but the fact is he didn't. So what am I going to do, kick him off the team?
Right.
The answer is no.
Those are the kids that need the pat on the back.
We're going to take another short break, and then we're going to come back with our final segment of Service Matters. This has been a terrific show, talking about the importance of youth sports programs for any youngster in town.
Good evening and welcome to another edition of For the Love of Words. After a 3-year hiatus, join me, John Holgerson, and
Priscilla Almquist Olson,
as we interview poets and musicians. Could you give the audience a little summary of your background as a child?
When I turned 7 or so, we were car bombed. That stuck out.
And have them share their love of words.
Sometimes I wonder, do you ever think of me?
a thin broth of moonlight caught in the trees spreads across the garden brush, so one side of every stick shimmers while the other sides melt into one another, a mass grave of cherry, pear, and pine.
For the Love of Words at 7 p.m. on Thursdays.
There's a storm.
Join me, Priscilla Almquist Olson, to explore the town of Easton and its interesting, engaging, ordinary, and extraordinary people, and meet a smorgasbord of guests, including artists, authors, musicians, business owners, community organizations, clergy, local leaders, etc., etc., etc. Community Forum at 3 p.m. on Thursdays and 1:30 p.m. on Saturdays. See you then.
Hello, welcome to Easton News. I'm Abby Kitchenham.
And I'm Jack Ryan, and together we bring you everything you need to know about Easton, including politics.
The annual town election is scheduled for Saturday, April 22nd, 2023.
Community events.
Be Inspired. Counseling presents a parent and child coping workshop centered around a new year and new beginnings.
And sports.
Pressure builds diamonds, so we live by that every day of practice, going into every game.
With APCSM guest segment Pet of the Week.
Hi, I'm Katie with the Animal Protection Center, and today we have a little Iris.
With help from special correspondent Wyatt Fain. Join us
for Easton News.
Playing 6 o'clock Friday, Saturday, and Sundays.
Welcome back to the final segment of Service Matters. Today I have two special guests. I have Victor and his son Justin. Of course, Justin is an adult who has done some broadcasting. He also has been an umpire in a youth sports program. And of course, he's come home many nights with black eyes, only kidding. But I'm kidding because today we're talking about youth sports programs and how important it is not only for the kids involved in the program, we want to make sure they get the appropriate benefits, but we're also talking about the adults, the adult coaches, how important it is to have the appropriate training and to handle the kids in the proper way. We certainly don't want to tell parents how to handle their kids at home. That's your job, but we want to make sure when you get involved in coaching in a youth sports program that it all happens in a positive way. You are going to have some kids that make mistakes, work with them. You're going to have some kids who are going to be absolutely terrific, and make sure that these kids work with the kids that make the mistakes. Work together as a team. Right. When the team wins the series, at the end of the season, they all are part of the team. They all get gratification from participating. Any words of wisdom, Justin, as a former player and a broadcaster, what could you say to young people out there why they should play sports?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say even if you're not a big sports fan, or you don't watch the games, you don't go to the games, you don't know too much about sports, I'd say it's always good to at least even give one sport a try. Because first of all, like I said before, you can make friends. If you're at home all day in the winter, it gets a little bit boring. You can play basketball. You can go outside in the summer, play baseball. And like I said, you don't even have to be a big sports fan to get going. And maybe some of these kids turn into huge sports fans after they start playing. But either way, it creates friendships and it creates a great environment for people to be in. And like you said, go out with friends. You can get ice cream afterwards. You don't have to be a big sports fan to do that. But either way, get these kids out of the house. They don't want to be doing their homework all day either. So like I said, it's a good thing to do. It's a good time, and you don't want to be home all day. And in school, you go back to school, and sometimes you meet these kids playing sports. You talk to these kids in the classroom, and it gives you more of a better personality growing up. I mean, it can create lots and lots of good things.
I had a volunteer coach, and we'll go to you, Victor, for some final comments, who said to me, well, the team just lost. Am I going to take them out for ice cream? I'm going to take them for ice cream, but there'll be no ice cream in the cone.
Yeah.
That was his last season coaching.
Yeah, I would think,
That was it.
I would hope so, because that's really not what it's all about.
You don't play baseball either for ice cream.
No.
The fact is that not every volunteer coach has to take kids out for ice cream. But
Depends how big the loss was.
yeah, and I think that the important message that we send to folks out there that may be listening here in southern New England, or maybe watching on community television in the Bristol, Norfolk communities. Do the best you can to work with the kids in a youth sports program and understand that they got more important things to think about as they grow up. Take advantage of giving them the experience of getting some healthy exercise,
Right.
Learning the skills so that someday they can be a youth sports coach themselves. Victor, some final comments.
I think it's more important now than ever for these kids to get out and play sports and for people to volunteer like myself, because, it's a different generation. Now everybody's, all the social media, people are in, like I said earlier in the show, they're inside more. They're not socializing more. I remember growing up in Sharon. I've known you a long time, Dave. Growing up in Sharon, I lived right down the street from a cul-de-sac. We'd be playing basketball, baseball, kickball, softball. From the time we got out of school until we were told we have to come home for dinner, and of course found the time to study. But that doesn't really happen anymore. You don't really see that.
No.
So it's even more important now than ever for people to get involved in youth sports for camaraderie, just like Justin said, for social reasons.
I mean, yeah, kids these days are inside. They're talking to their friends over these headsets that we have on right now, but they're playing video games. It's not like they're outside. They're in front of their screens all day, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think they should take an active part, whether it's organized sports or just participating by yourself. During my era, we didn't have as many youth sports going on. We had to make our own sports.
Yeah, but I kudos to those who coach and volunteer. I love doing it. It's been a long time now because my kids aged out, but I'm not going to lie to you. It made me whole. It made me feel good about myself. I enjoyed helping others, and I still get a kick out of when I'm around town and I bump into parents and they say, "Hey, how you doing, Coach Vic?" It makes me feel good, but I did it for everyone else, and I'm happy I did it, and it's very important. And again, kudos to all those who volunteer their time.
And of course, I'd like to thank both you and your son, Victor Miller and Justin Miller.
Thank you again.
For joining us today on Service Matters. An important topic. Today we talked about youth sports and how important it is to make it a terrific experience for the girls and the guys who participate. And the message we sent out to youth sports coaches, do it with the dignity that it deserves. And I always remember that message that I say quite often to volunteer coaches. The best way to find yourself as a youth sports coach is to lose yourself in the service of helping others. How important that is. I want to thank you all for joining us today. I say to each and every one out there, go forth to serve. I'd certainly do it with a smile on your face. And if you're going to volunteer some time and talent in a youth sports program, regardless of what community you're in. Do it certainly with the pleasure of working with young people to make a difference in their lives, because they are the future of our country. Thank you.